Here's last Sunday's message in 2 minutes-ish. So we're continuing in our series on identity called The Reborn Identity, because I like that title. And last Sunday, what we talked about is your design. How did God actually design you? And so the first thing I want to note is that the Bible says we were made in his image. Now, what does that mean? Well, in John 4, it explains and says that God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So God is spirit, and that means we who are made in his image are also made as spirit. We are spirit beings. In fact, the Bible says in 1 Thessalonians that we are a spirit who has a soul that lives in a body. So you're a three-part being. You have a spirit, which is how you relate to God. You have a soul, which is made up of your mind, your will, your emotions, your personality. And that's how we really relate to other people. And then we have our body. And our body is how we relate to our environment. It's our five senses, how we take in information. And so you are a three-part being, but the truth is you just live in a body. It's temporary. We know at the end that returns to the earth. That's not a part that goes to heaven. We get new bodies in heaven. We have a soul and we have a spirit, but you are spirit. That is who you actually are. And when we become saved, our spirit is what is united with Christ. When his spirit enters our spirit, this is what we mean when we say, ask Jesus into your heart. We're actually talking about that you become alive. You become connected to Jesus through your spirit. Now, that leads us to what happens before we're saved. What about like when we're born? Well, when Adam sinned, it created a problem because he introduced death, and death is separation. When we die physically, we're separated from the physical world. Being dead spiritually means we are separated from God. And so when Adam sinned, he died spiritually, and through him, death reigned through everyone born after him. So we're born in the state of being disconnected from God. This is called a sin nature because without being connected to God, the only connection that we have, according to the Bible, is to our flesh, which is through carnality of the world, sin. So that's the law of sin and death, is that we're born that way. We're born in a state disconnected from God. When Jesus died on the cross, he made a way for us to leave that line of Adam and be entered into the line of Christ. We leave the line of man and enter into a divine line where God becomes our Father. This puts us out of that line of being disconnected from God and into a line where we are connected to him. And so our spirit becomes fully righteous because we take on the righteousness of Christ. Now, some people have a problem with understanding that you actually are fully and completely righteous. And that's because you are righteous in your spirit. Our soul then is empowered by one of two places. The Bible says that when we walk according to the spirit, we will not fulfill the lust of the flesh. And so what that is our soul can decide to either get all of its information and its power from our spirit, which is connected to God, which leads us into righteousness because our spirit is righteous, or it can be connected to our flesh, connected to the world apart from God, and that is sin. And so what we look at is our spirit is righteous, our soul is being sanctified, and that's why the Bible says you are perfect and are being made perfect, because your spirit is perfect, your soul is being made perfect, and our flesh will actually end up being discarded. That's what gets buried in a box, but our spirit and our soul do go to heaven. So that's your design. That is how God made you, and we'll continue to look at how that informs your identity and how you live out of that place of knowing that you are a spirit made in God's image that is fully righteous when you're born again. Yeah, that's it. Bye.